it's Shawnee. Welcome back. Guess what time it is? Say it with me. It is time for our weekly roundup where I go over all of the palettes that I used over the past week and I rank them from least liked to most liked. Now this week we have 5 slots and quite a few palettes and combinations. So I did like multiple looks with like one palette and stuff like that. So it was a little harder to kind of put the ranking together, so I'm not going to do that ever again. So I think I'm going to lean a little bit more towards ranking the look as well as the palette, so we'll kind of see how that goes. I think I just did a lot this week. So number 5, that is a combination of palettes, the first being the Viseart Dark Matte palette, along with the Viseart Cool Matte palette. And then I combined both of those with a single rom-com from Copacetic Cosmetics. You can see it has a bit of a shift, like an orange, pink. Let me know if you see any other colors in there. But really pretty single, and I knew that I wanted to use one of those singles, the shimmery ones that I have from Copacetic, and I rely on Viseart mattes a lot because they are good, period. But they have like dark matte, cool matte, warm matte, neutral matte, so they have a big variety. Now those palettes, these are the larger ones and they are expensive. I wouldn't suggest buying them without a sale, or I would also maybe get the petite versions because you don't need all of these shades, right? Unless you're using these shades every single day, then I don't think you need the bigger palette. I think you can go with the petite versions and be just incredibly fine. Now, next palette has been called, you know, the biggest launch of the year. That is the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. We've already talked about how I don't need this nude, okay? But I am trying to make it work. Typically, I like Natasha Denona palettes. There are a couple that I haven't gotten because I felt like they wouldn't really jive with me and the color story wasn't for me, just like this one. So who knows what happened? You know what it was? I think I was having like a bad day or something and I was like, I'm gonna get that. So that's what I get. Now, in this palette, she has her new formula of shimmers, and I'm not that much of a fan of it. I feel like her other shimmers and other palettes are they're more opaque. For these, I feel like I have to build them up, especially given my skin tone. So what I have realized helps a lot is the NYX Glitter Glue. Now, when I used that, because I tried like several different primers and all this stuff, and it just wasn't giving me what I wanted it to give me, I will say that every look I've done with this palette, I've actually really liked. But it's just the struggle of getting there, you know? I really feel like I'd be much happier if she took out some of these lighter mattes and maybe had like a deep version. You know how Sydney Grace does like a light version and deep version of their palettes? That would be so cool. Even if she had some like singles and I could like pop these out and put them somewhere else and put some newer mattes in here. Like I could definitely take some mattes out of her other midi palettes, but I like those mattes being in those palettes. So if you're going to use this and you're of a darker skin tone, I would definitely suggest using a glitter glue or like some kind of base that's a little tacky so that you can pat the shimmers in. And that's only if you want more opacity and more impact. If you like just a little light wash of color, you just want it to be super subtle, then I think you'll like this palette. I also think you'll like it if you're on the lighter side in terms of skin tone. I think as you get a little deeper, it takes more elbow grease. Now, what I think also is that this is going to be more of a companion palette for me. And one of the looks, I did pair it with the Natasha Denona Safari palette. This is like an OG palette that you can't even get anymore. And this is, as far as I know, the only all matte palette that she has. The Star palette, is that all matte? I don't think so. So this is like the only all matte palette that she has. I remember when it came out and people were like, either they loved it or they didn't. But I enjoy it. I like it. I tend to pair that one also with other palettes. So pairing the two together, I Need a Nude and Safari, was just like, made sense to me. If you do want like all matte palettes, you can definitely get them at more affordable prices, or I would also suggest just getting like a bunch of singles, matte singles. I get most of mine from Sydney Grace, and making your own all matte palette. So that was number 4. Okay, number 3 is actually the look that I have on my eyes today, and that was made by Pat McGrath. Mothership 6. This is Midnight Sun. So this is one that I really enjoyed. I feel like this is one of the palettes that doesn't get as much love in terms of her motherships. Even for me, I tend to like the later pink ones. You know, like all 12 of the most recent releases that are pink. But I really like this palette, and I feel like not as many people talk about it a ton. I think like the Safari palette, it's either people love it or people just really don't like it. But yeah, I love the look that I did. To do this sort of like extra long wing, I just used the deep shade in here. This one right, this one right here. And then I used this shade here as the shimmer, and I even used a bit of this shade like at the top here. So it's a look that I really like. It's one I would probably even pop some lashes on and just have a good old time. So let me know if you have this palette and what you think about it, because yeah, I feel like it's divided. Okay, number 2. That is my newest palette in the bunch. It is the Nomad Ghost Town USA palette. I really like the packaging. Like, this is just so cool to me. Like, I just feel like I'm easily entertained, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. But I have been enjoying this palette, and I've already done a couple of looks with it. Interestingly, I've been sticking to this side of the palette, which wouldn't be my norm. I think I would honestly be more over here mostly. One thing that I enjoy is Jan pointed out, like, if you go here, that could be one 9-pan palette, and if you go here, that could be another 9-pan palette. Also, I think things go well in the columns, and also like in like 2s in terms of the columns. Like, these shades look good, these shades look good, these shades look good, and then you pop over here, these shades, you know what I mean? So I think that if you struggle with knowing how to put colors together or what goes with what, then the Nomad palette layouts are really, really good. This one especially, I can just see it right away. This is not a limited edition palette, so you can definitely pick it up at your leisure. What I will say is make sure that you use a discount code. There are quite a few of us with discount codes. Jan has one, Gian Loves Makeup has one, Jamila has one, Yachty Beauty has one. The one that I have is Shani10, SHANI10. But the little postcard, you know, they always send one. There was a scratch off, and you either get like a discount code, or some people will get $100. But this scratch off has another code, and it is Ghost Town 15, GHOSTTOWN 15. That will get you 15% off, rather than our codes that will get you 10% off. Go with the 15. And number 1 is my favorite look of the week. It's just a favorite look, period. Maybe one of my favorite looks ever. I think so. I used a combination of palettes, but one like main palette. But let me tell you about them. The first one is the Serenity palette from Cosmic Brushes. I paired that with the Delicious Delights palette from Cosmic Brushes. I only got like one shade out of these. The palette that I use the most is the Blends palette from Blend Bunny. if I'm doing any sort of all matte colorful look, I've noticed that this is the palette I tend to go toward. I really just enjoyed this look. I had fun doing it. It was for my Copy Kitty collab with Jan, where we copy a look or a picture or something, and I just had a lot of fun with this look. It's just bright, it's cool. I just loved it. So those are the palettes and the looks that I did over the past week, ranked for you. Let me know what you think, if there are ones that you like. And also, I would like to know what palettes you've used over the past week, just because oftentimes you all give me inspiration of what I should use as well. Now, I do like to include some sort of non-makeup item that I have been using and enjoying. And honestly, I kind of forgot. But luckily, I have something on my vanity that I actually do use every day or every other day. It is the Mielle Rosemary Mint Scalp and Hair Strengthening Oil. I have this brand's leave-in conditioner, and they're like, is it like a gel thing? So I already am really liking this brand. I can't remember why I started trying them, but I've been enjoying them. And so this oil, I use this as a scalp oil. So sometimes my scalp gets a little dry and I want to just get some moisture in there. This has a dropper. So all I have to do is like part my hair. You can see it's thick, so it's kind of hard to part and see the scalp. So I use a comb. But I part my hair and then I just use the dropper to put some oil on my scalp. Those of us, y'all remember having to grease your hair, and your mom would be doing that when you were younger. If you know, you know. But I really like this. It's an oil that isn't very oily, and it smells really good. And yeah, I would say try it out. You can get it at Ulta, and I think you might be able to get it off of Amazon. But yeah, give it a try. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you like it. But if you don't have the type of hair that needs, or the scalp that sort of needs that extra moisture, then you know, you don't want to get it and make your hair oilier. But for me, my hair and my scalp just like sucks up water and oil, and it just makes it look juicier. Okay, I think that is everything. Those are the palettes and the looks that I did this week. Let me know what palettes you use this week or what you plan to use. Also, let me know if you're buying any palettes. So I hope that some of this was helpful. I also hope that you are continuing to take care of yourself. Be sure to thumbs up and like the video. Also, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to leave me that comment. I'm usually pretty good about answering back and having convos with folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.